Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good things. And guys, it's awesome to have you here today. So glad you chose to spend some of your time here with us when you can be doing a lot of other things. And we do have a lot of stuff that we need to talk about today. And I'm going to let you know how today's show is going to go. As always, we break the show into two parts. In the first half of the show, we take some predetermined lined up topics. And then the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you want to send in a live comment or question to be read on this show or an upcoming companion video, simply go down into the description of this video and you'll see a tip link. Just click on that there. Or you can enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on the show, if it's, of course, appropriate for a show. And, of course, you'll be supporting our channel at the same time. And all of us here involved at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Also going to let you know, I forgot to do it yesterday, but we're back. If you've got like an instant thought or opinion or a perspective on a story that we're talking about today, and you want us to read it right today, use the YouTube Super Chat feature. Again, I want to remind everybody, that's not for asking questions. Use the tip link for that. But if you've got a thought or opinion on one of the topics we're talking about here today, go ahead and use the Super Chat feature on YouTube, and we'll read that at the end of the main topics. Okay, guys, a couple of items of housekeeping here before we get into the main stuff. First of all, don't forget, if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news, there is the John Campea Show Facebook. There's the John Campea Show podcast, which I'm sure I'll bring up here in a second. There it is, the John Campea Show podcast. We're off to a great start. It is there, an audio-only version of the show. So if you're commuting, at work, you're at the gym, jogging, whatever, you need the audio version, it's there. Use your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go subscribe to the show so it is there when you need it. Also, guys, one other little bit of housekeeping here. It is now, we're getting close to the mid-November. And as you guys know, every year we talk about this. It's time of that year to do it again. One of the things Ann and I do every year, and the reason I'm going to talk about it and why I talk about it every year is because this is something you can do and do very, very easily. And that is adopt a family for Christmas. Now, just like the Joker said, like all it takes is one bad day. Believe in the power of one good day. I believe in the power of one good day. That one good day can really change your perspective or change things or make good things happen, whatever. And when you adopt a family, you're creating one good day. And basically, what is adopt a family? Okay, so here's the basic rundown. Every municipality may do it a little different from the others. But basically, contact your local municipality, find out about any adopt a family programs that you have in your area. What basically happens is they will match you with a family in need. Sometimes it's a single mother with 3 kids. Sometimes it's a couple with 2 children. They're really struggling, whatever. And for whatever reason, that family can't provide like a Christmas to their kids. They'll match you up with a family. Then you get some money together, either yourself. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be like $70, can be like $100, can be $200, whatever you want it to be, and get together with some friends and pool some money together. And then when they match you with the family, you guys buy presents for the kids and maybe a couple things that the adults need to make their family life workable and stuff like that. Go out and get it. And then you go visit their house and you deliver presents. This is honestly, this is probably mine and Ann's favorite day of the year, is the day every Christmas season when we get to go and actually meet the family and deliver presents. And it's a transformative experience for you, yes, but it's also the power of one good day for a family that really needs it around a time that we really need it most, which is Christmas. So guys, get together with some friends, pool some money, decide that you're going to adopt a family together as a group this year, and contact your municipality and see if they can point you in the right direction. Okay, guys, with that down, let's now move on and start with an off the top. And our off the top today is this. You know, one of the more interesting projects that we've heard discussed in the last little while that I thought was fascinating was Being the Ricardos. And we got Javier Bardem as Ricky Ricardo, but Nicole Kidman is Lucille Ball. And I thought that was interesting because while Nicole Kidman is absolutely one of the single greatest actresses in the world, Absolutely one of the greatest actresses in the world. She's phenomenal. I love her. Like I said in a video the other day, I would probably pay good money to have her yell in my face. Interpret that as you will. But I've been really interested about them portraying the lives of Lucy and Ricky in this thing. The first trailer came out a while ago, and I thought it was interesting, but a brand new trailer for it dropped this morning. And I got to tell you, even though the first trailer was, really interesting and it got you in there, aside from just the fact that you got Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, who are just two fantastic performers, you've also got like Clark Gregg, who I totally love Clark Gregg. You, of course, remember him as Agent Coulson in the MCU. You got Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons in there as well. The cast looks absolutely stacked. And it's being, written by one of the greatest, Sorkin, one of the greatest writers in Hollywood, and he's directing it as well. And man, the job he did with the first movie he directed, I think was called Molly's Game. Love that movie. I thought he did a terrific job with it. So the new trailer for this Lucy movie drops, or for this Lucy thing called Being the Ricardos. It's going to come out in theaters, I think, on December 10th, and then out on Amazon Prime on the 11th. So I don't know how they're kind of being sneaky with that. But I'll tell you what, I am personally a sucker for Hollywood behind the scenes stuff. And I don't just mean like behind the scenes stuff as far as what's on DVDs or Blu-rays, but I mean these true stories behind the scenes. What was behind the smiles? What was behind the laughs? And there's a lot of this history because, of course, Lucille Ball was before my time. She was probably before most of your time. Maybe some of you guys were able to watch it while it was airing, but it's before my time, clearly, and probably for a lot of you guys as well. So I only know really just a little bit about Lucille Ball. And really what I do know, the stuff I know is what I watched on screen, watching those reruns on television. And to hear the stuff about like the accusations of being communist and like all this kind of stuff, being caught up in all that era's drama that was going on, to me is fascinating. But one of the things that I also really, really loved was the whole notion of, not that that's fascinating in and of itself, but the whole idea of looking at the relationship between Ricky and Lucy and the fact that they were going to really highlight that and dive into that in a large scale. I think this looks awesome. So I'll tell you what, guys, if you haven't seen the newest trailer for Being the Ricardos, go check it out. I honestly think, now look, it is just a trailer. It's just a trailer. Who knows, the movie could suck. It might, but just going off the trailer, this is the kind of material that looks like it's an Oscar contender. I mean, it just looks fantastic. I'm totally gripped. I cannot wait to see this. Question is for you guys. Have you had a chance to see the new trailer for Being the Ricardos? If so, what did you guys think about it? Whatever those thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number one. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Michael Wolf, who writes, thanks to this show talking about it, I became one of the many people who became obsessed with Squid Game. Well, according to Variety News, it just came out that Squid Game will be coming back for season 2, according to the writer. I know it's popular and all, but there goes the idea of it being a limited series. What are your thoughts on this, and are you excited to see the show return for a second season? Thanks, and keep bringing the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Michael. And yeah, look, Squid Game, every once in a while, I don't know what happened there, I just lost my camera. Every once in a while, a show will come out or a movie will come out, something like that, that will absolutely capture the imaginations of everybody. Like whether there's something visceral about it, whether it's a super grand epic scope idea, whether it's some kind of trendy thing, or for whatever reason, once in a while, a movie or a TV show or a special or something comes out that just becomes like must-watch TV. Everybody's got to see it. Squid Game was not one of those series that I actually had any interest in watching. Like I saw one quick preview for it, which in and of itself is interesting because normally Netflix does a very bad job of promoting their original material. And the whole notion of it just seemed kind of done 1,000 times, whatever. So I instantly ignored it, paid no attention to it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden I started getting emails from tons of people saying, oh my goodness, you've got to check out this Squid Game. And so one night, Ann and I were hanging out. It was getting a little bit late. I mean, not late, but it was like 9 o'clock at night. We weren't going to do anything else for the evening. So we said, you know, you want to watch like the first episode of the Squid Game thing? Sure, why not? So we pop on Squid Game and we watch the entire season, I think either in 2 or 3 days. In 2 or 3 days, we got through the entire season. It's great. Now, is it the greatest work of fiction we've ever seen on screen? No, but it was totally magnetizing. I mean, your eyes were glued to the screen like magnets. A combination of the figuring things out, like trying to cheer for our heroes. Also on top of all that, you know, the visceralness, the violence, how are they going to do these kills? And you know, it's not exactly completely original. Like Squid Game is an amalgamation of a number of other properties kind of put into one. But it's not about the ingredients to go into it. It's what's the final package like? And the final package was great. And on top of being great, it also just happened to become the #1 show they ever watched. I believe it was 17 days. Yeah, this comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who writes, according to Netflix, this is really interesting. It took only 17 days after its September 17th debut and 111 million global fans for the 9-episode series Squid Game to become the streamer's biggest series ever and the first series to surpass 100 million views. Now, you've got to remember and keep in mind, this is the same Netflix that has The Crown, which is like a global phenomenon. This is the same Netflix that has Stranger Things, which became a global phenomenon. This is the same Netflix that had Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones. And this became the biggest show in their history. Now, of course, when we're talking about movies, when a movie has that kind of success, it becomes a no duh, they're going to be a sequel. Well, no duh, they're going to do another season of Squid Game. This comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who writes, when asked about a possible second season, creator Dong-hyuk said, I do have a basic story for season 2. It's all in my head, and I am currently in the brainstorming stage, the writer-director told the Hollywood Reporter through a translator. It will happen someday, but as for when, I cannot tell you the details. And again, that comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter. So look, on one hand, you can say, no duh. Like, of course you're going to do a sequel. Of course you're going to do a second season. But it's not as no duh as you might think, because remember, Netflix doesn't really care about things that are popular. Netflix, and there's nothing wrong with this, Netflix cares about what adds subscribers. That's all they care about. If they hit season 3 of one of their shows and it's hugely popular, but it's not adding new subscribers anymore because everybody who's interested in the show has already subscribed, it can be their number 2, number 3, number 4 biggest, most popular thing on the platform. They'll cancel it because they don't care if a lot of people watch it. They care if a lot of people sign up for it. And with the global phenomena of Squid Game, you know there's going to be a lot of people talking about it that may not be Netflix subscribers yet. So you put it out to season 2, it could generate a whole hell of a lot more subscribers. So it looks kind of obvious on one hand, but not necessarily all that no duh on the other. Anyway, the question is for you guys. What do you think about them doing another season of Squid Game? Personally, I think there's a lot of territory for them to cover. If you watch Squid Game and you saw the ending scene and all that kind of stuff, you know there's still a lot of potential there for great storytelling. I just hope they don't do a reboot of season one. You know what I mean? Like if you do a second season, take us in new directions. Don't just do a repeat of season one. We'll see. Question is though, how do you guys feel about this? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, I want to take a second here before we move on to the next main topic and talk about the sponsor of today's video, and that is our friends over at Raycon. I was telling you guys before that I, have used the bigger brands of earbuds, and I like them, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I lost one of them and I needed a new set of earbuds. And on one of my favorite YouTube channels, they were talking about Raycon, about that it sounds great and it's like half the price of the major earbuds. Why not give it a shot? Well, listen, I can tell you, these things are comfortable. They sound really good. They pair super easy. I first took them out of the case. As soon as I put it in my ear, it just automatically said pairing mode. And boom, I was able to pair it to my phone really easy. 32-hour battery life, 8 hours of straight playback time. And again, as good as they are, they're around half the price of the other major earbud brands. So guys, listen, Christmas is coming up. You're thinking about what things to get for somebody? Raycon is something you should absolutely consider getting for yourself or for a friend or a loved one. And listen, right now, you can even get a little bit of a special. If you go to www.buyraycon.com/Campea, that's buyraycon.com/Campea, you'll get an even bigger bonus there, and you'll be supporting our show at the same time. So once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Raycon, and thank you for giving me the earbuds that I use every day on my treadmill now. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Sam. And Sam writes, did you see they're finally confirming that Jurassic World Dominion post-production is finished and the movie is ready to go? I'm very excited about seeing the main characters back, and they're not going to have any cameos. I can't wait for this movie. It's just could be the best Jurassic movie ever made. I was wondering, do you think we're going to get a trailer in November or December? I wanted to know your thoughts and bring on the filthy. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, I am somebody who happens to be very pro the Jurassic World movies. I know not everybody is, but I really enjoyed Jurassic World. And I even like the second Jurassic World movie. Now, don't get me wrong, they're nowhere near as good as the original Jurassic Park, but I think they're better than most of the Jurassic Park sequels. That's just my opinion. And I had a lot of fun. And the last Jurassic World movie ended on a really interesting kind of cliffhanger, of course, with all these dinosaurs now getting out into the world. And then we had that short film put out like a little bit over a year ago that the director of the film put out, this little short called, what was it, Battle at Big Rock or Battle at Red Rock or something like that. Guys in the live chat, remind me, what was the name of that short? I think it was called Battle at, I'm going to go with Battle at Red Rock. That's what I'm going to go with. What do you guys have to say in your own, in there? Is it Battle of Red Rock, Battle of Big Rock? I can't remember the name of it exactly. Oh, it was Big Rock. Okay, Detroit Dog is saying it's Big Rock. Anthony is also saying Battle at Big Rock. So is Micah is saying, okay, so apparently it's Battle at Big Rock. I almost had it, and I went with Red Rock. Anyway, so that kind of teases us as to what the world is now going to be like there. Now, of course, there have been delays and all that kind of stuff, and the movie's not coming out till June. It's not coming out till June of 2022, so it's still a while off. So it's a little bit surprising to hear that they are actually 100% done the movie. The movie's now finished. It's in the can. No more post-production to be done. This comes to us from the folks at Screen Rant who write, Colin Trevorrow, the director, confirms that Jurassic World Dominion has finally been completed after a lengthy production process. The third and likely final installment of the Jurassic World franchise was originally scheduled to open in theaters this year, but the coronavirus pandemic had different plans for it. Jurassic World 3 began filming in early of 2020, but was soon shut down by the pandemic. After various starts and stops throughout the year, the nigh impossible shoot, in the words of Sam Neill, wrapped in late 2022. Jurassic World 3 is currently scheduled to come out in June. So that comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant. One other thing, just taking a look at how Colin Trevorrow actually made this announcement. He actually got on Twitter to make the announcement, and he said the following. He put up this picture. He said, last night, we put the last bit of reverb on the last roar. Thanks to Al Nelson, Gwen Whittle, Pete Horner, Chris Boyes, and everyone at Skywalker Sound for putting so much heart and soul into our mix for Jurassic World Dominion. It's alive. All right, and I can tell you this, guys. As somebody who's made a number of my own little personal movie projects, whether it's my little documentary, Movie Trailers A Love Story. By the way, available on Amazon now. Go over to Amazon, search for Movie Trailers A Love Story, and enjoy a great documentary about movie trailers today. Anyway, whether it's that or my own little rom-com I did forever ago, as somebody who's done my own little piddly squat little projects, I can tell you there is nothing like when you've been working for, in my case, months and months and months and months and months and months, or in the case of like a Colin Trevorrow, years and years on a project, when you put that last touch on it and you're able to go, I'm done. And it's not just like movie projects. Any of you guys who like own homes or stuff like that, or even apartments, and you've had a big project, whether you're painting the house or you're doing whatever, and you realize you've done the last little thing you need to do. There is nothing like that feeling. That feeling when this project I've been working on for a while and you put the last dot on it and then you're looking around, it's like, oh, wait a minute. That was the last thing we had to do. I'm done. I'm finished. It's incredible. It's an amazing feeling. It is an absolutely amazing feeling. I am personally very much looking forward to Jurassic World 3. I think this could be a lot of fun because, again, I am somebody who appreciates the other two. I like the cliffhanger. I like the Battle of Big Rock. And then I even like that little teaser they had with the T-Rex attacking the drive-in theater. That got me really interested as well. The fact that you've got Sam Neill and the rest of the original cast gang coming back, and like you said in the email, they're not just cameos. They are actually full-fledged roles in this film, combining them with Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt as the new cast. I think this is going to be great. Now, as far as your question goes about, do I think that we're going to see a trailer soon in like November or December? Well, what are we saying? June, so now it's November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. I mean, the movie's still 7 months away. The movie's still 7 months away. So I don't know that there's a lot of reason to believe or think, or I'll even go one step further. I don't know that there's a lot of reason to even want a Jurassic World 3 trailer right now. What would be the point? And we've been seeing more and more in Hollywood this trend that Hollywood is thankfully shrinking the window between when they launch their first trailer and when the movie actually comes out. For a long, long time, it felt like that window was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like a trailer would come out 7 months before the movie came out. Then a trailer would come out 9 months before a movie came out. Then it was like over a year before a movie would come out. They're putting out their first big trailer. But what Hollywood has learned is you're blowing your load way too early. That any buzz or excitement, Godzilla King of the Monsters was a big victim of this. They dropped the first big trailer for it. Everybody got excited. Everybody was buzzing about it. But buzz is like spilt water on a hot road on a summer day. It evaporates. It goes away. And Hollywood for a long time has been blowing their load way too early. They've been prematurely blowing their load. Not that any of my viewers would know anything about that, but it happens, right? And what we've been seeing lately is a trend going in the opposite direction. That now studios are realizing we get more bang for our buck and we get more value and we get more effectiveness if we actually shrink that window. I'm not saying like shrink it till 3 weeks before the movie comes out, but we've been seeing more and more movies release their first trailer instead of 9 months out, 4 months out. We've been seeing more and more movies, instead of releasing their trailers 7 months before release, releasing it like 3 months before release, right? And I think Hollywood is going to find that they're going to get a lot more effective bang for their buck by doing it that way. So, do I think we're going to get a Jurassic World Dominion trailer in November, December now that the movie's done? I don't think so. But listen, it still happens. I mean, there are still movies, we've seen it recently, that will drop their first trailer. I mean, I think, didn't just Lightyear? Like, Lightyear is still a little ways away, and they put one out. So, I mean, it still happens, but I just think we're seeing that trend get shorter. So, I don't know. I don't think we're going to get a trailer before the new year. I don't think we will. We very well could, but I don't think we will. And even though I'm super excited for the movie, more importantly, I don't think we need to see a trailer this early. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this whole thing about Jurassic World? It's now done. It's completed. It's done. It's absolutely finished. Now all it's got to do is sit on a shelf for 7 months to come out. Do you think they'll put out a trailer before the end of the year? Do you even want them to put out a trailer before the end of the year? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, what was that? I think that was number 3, right? No, let's move on to main topic number 3. I lost my place there for a second. Let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Vince W. Smith. And Vince W. Smith writes, "Hey, John. Okay, I'm officially confused here. We all know about the images that got out a couple of days ago. I have no idea what you're talking about, Vince. Just so you know, when you mention images that got out a few days ago, I have no idea what you're talking about. I am completely oblivious to whatever reality you're talking about. But I just read a quote from a new interview with Total Film. I love Total Film, by the way, this morning with Tom Holland, that he is insisting that Toby and Andrew are not in this new film. So either the pictures are fake or Holland is straight up lying to the fans. Which is it?" Okay. That's thanks for sending that in, Vince. And yeah, listen, it's no surprise that this entire time leading up to No Way Home, people have been denying things. Andrew Garfield has been denying his involvement. I believe Tobey Maguire denied his involvement. Tom Holland has been denying that those guys are in the movie. That's been going on. Now, of course, then came those pictures that got released online the other day, which is leading a lot of people to believe, well, obviously, that's not true. They are going to be in the movie. As a matter of fact, that's what a lot of people believe. Well, that apparently hasn't stopped Tom Holland from still denying it. That hasn't stopped him from still trying to deny it. So this is interesting. So yesterday, somebody sent this to me. But Total Film had done this interview with Tom Holland. They were talking to him about No Way Home and everything. And Tom Holland just basically straight up said and insisted that they're not in it. They're not in it, which was interesting. Again, this comes to us from the folks at Total Film who write, this is Tom Holland's quote from Total Film saying, "People still don't believe me when I say that Maguire and Garfield are not coming back. But people are going to have to believe me at some point. Again, people don't believe me when I say that Maguire and Garfield are not coming back, but people are going to have to believe me at some point." And that, of course, comes to us from Tom Holland. All right. Thanks for sending that to us, Tom. So I don't blame you if when you write in and you say, "I'm a little bit confused now. There are these pictures and then there continue to be these denials." All right. So what do I think? You know, I have believed for a while. I mean, if you go back a year or more, I was like, nah, Tom and, Toby and Andrew are not coming back. Right. But then a number of months ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to see too much and hear too much. Same stuff you guys were seeing and hearing. I'm starting to see too much and hear too much, even though there is no evidence Toby and Andrew are going to be in this movie. I think I now believe they will be. I mean, there was no evidence that they would be, but I now believe they will be. So there's that. Then, of course, the pictures come out, and now everybody thinks they're real. I mean, I still don't know what to think about them, to be honest. And then hearing Tom Holland come out and say this is this. But look, I will say this. I don't know. It's an interesting catch, because if Tom Holland is right, well, then this is what he needs to say, but nobody's going to believe him. If Tom Holland is misleading us, then the question kind of becomes, well, what else is he supposed to do right now? He can't come out. If it is true, and if the pictures are real, and if it is true and all that kind of stuff, what's Tom Holland supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, well, I guess the cat's out of the bag now. Might as well tell you guys. What's he supposed to say? So he's in massive denial mode. Look, and I ain't saying that it's impossible that Tom Holland saying that this isn't true, that they're not coming back. I'm not saying it's not possible that he's right. It is possible he's right. I mean, we've got this movie coming out here real shortly, and it's completely possible we walk in there and find out, oh, yeah, Tom Holland was right. They're not here. It's increasingly unlikely, but it's still possible. But again, it's that catch. It's a little bit of a catch. Because if he's absolutely telling us the truth right now, I don't think right now anybody's going to believe him. And if he's lying right now, well, what else is he supposed to do? What else is he supposed to say? But this does create a problem. All right, I want to talk about this for a second. It creates a little bit of a problem. You go back to say, what was the name of the second J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, guys? Was it Into Darkness? I think it was Into Darkness, the one where Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan. I think that one was called Into Darkness. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Or Sam Costos is saying, yes, it is Into Darkness. Okay, thank you for that. It creates a little bit of a problem for celebrities, Hollywood, and the trust relationship with the audience. Now, you go back to that Star Trek movie. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. We know that, but people didn't know who he was playing. People didn't know who he was. I still remember at that time, that was the same year I was doing my annual panel at Comic-Con. I was doing my Masters of the Web panel, and my guest that year was Carl Urban from The Boys, but he wasn't on The Boys at that time. So Carl Urban was my guest, and Carl Urban and I are on the stage and we're talking about his movie Dread at the time. But of course, he was coming up in Star Trek. And I turned to him and I asked him, I've got video of this. I turned to him and I asked him in the middle of our talk, I said, hey, Carl, who's the villain in Star Trek? And he said, oh, they sent me this in case I was asked this question. And Carl Urban pulls out this big piece of duct tape and puts it over his own mouth, right? But anyway, that was the big question. Who's Benedict going to be? Who's Benedict going to be? And J.J. Abrams came straight out and said, well, he's not playing Khan. He's not Khan Noonien Singh. All right? He's not Khan Noonien Singh, I'll tell you that. Well, of course, he was Khan Noonien Singh. I remember Bradley Cooper, this is going back a little bit even further, I think. Bradley Cooper, when asked if he was going to be in the A-Team movie adaptation that they were doing with Liam Neeson, and he said no. Well, it turns out he was. Now, that had been a rare thing, right? Those types of straight up, well, let's just call them lies. They're lies. They are lying, but they were lying for a good reason. Those kinds of lies were rare. It didn't often happen. Normally when an actor at that time would be asked about something, they would just answer it with no comment, right? So neither confirming nor denying, just no comment. But, JJ straight up said, no, he's not Khan Noonien Singh. He's not that. It's becoming more and more normal now that instead of sidestepping a question or just saying no comment to that, more and more often than not now, we get actors and directors in studios are actively trying to mislead or misdirect the audience, right? And I understand why. Let's go on the assumption for a second that Toby and Andrew are both going to be with Tom Holland in the Spider-Man movie, okay? Let's assume that for a moment. I get why Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and everybody else is straight up actively denying it. I get it, because that's something you want to save till you get closer to the movie. I still think they're going to put Toby in. If Toby and Andrew are in this movie, I still believe they're going to put them in a trailer, because Sony is about selling tickets and nothing is going to sell tickets to this movie on this level like putting these two in a trailer, that's going to sell all the tickets. It's not going to sell. I'm afraid what you heard me say was it's going to sell a lot of tickets. No, it's going to sell all the tickets. It's going to sell all the tickets. Is that a ticket over there? No, can't be, because they've all been sold. Because everybody's going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. Even people who don't give a crap about comic book movies, they're all going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. It's going to sell all the tickets. So what are these guys supposed to do? They actively deny, actively deny, actively deny. But the problem that this sort of thing can become is that as it becomes more regular, it used to be that us movie fans could say, hey, yeah, if we, an actor was asked a question and the actor answered it. Well, now we know the answer. But if this sort of thing continues to happen more and more and more, can we ever trust what an actor says as it pertains to a movie they have coming out? Can we ever believe what a director says as it pertains to a movie they have coming out? At what point does simple misdirect become so common and so regular that it's just straight up bold-faced lying? Like if they're in this movie and Tom Holland's saying, listen, I'm telling you, they're not in this movie. At some point, you got to believe me. And then it turns out they are. At what point do we as an audience just go, we don't believe anything any actor or any director ever says as it pertains to a movie they have coming out? And that's not a good place for us to be, because it used to be that we as fans, we could rely on that. It's like, you want to know the answer to that question? We don't have to speculate. The director answered that. And again, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know what else Andrew and Tom or Toby are supposed to do when they get asked about this. I don't know what else you're supposed to do other than deny. But I'm just saying that it is a situation we have all put ourselves in that could lead to there being a fundamental break in the trust that average film fans, like all of us, can have when an actor or director says anything about a movie they have upcoming. We can't rely on any of it now. Are we there yet? No. Are we in danger of going there? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Number one, that Tom Holland is still actively insisting that Toby and Andrew are not in this movie. And if he's right, we're all going to look pretty silly. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? And let's say for a second that it's true that Toby and Andrew are in it. Does this cause any concern moving forward about, can we ever listen to anything an actor says or a director says or a studio says about an upcoming movie of theirs? I don't know. Is it even a problem? Whatever you guys are thinking about this, jump down into the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Kaylee Walsh, who writes, hey, John and team. First time writer, but I've been watching the show since I found you during WandaVision, so thank you for that. Well, it's awesome to have you here, Kaylee. Thank you for letting me know that. Anyway, I wanted to know what you think about the idea for an Eternals prequel series on Disney+. Apparently, the writers have it all mapped out and are ready to go on it. Do you think it's a good idea? And more importantly, do you think it could actually happen? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. Appreciate that. And yeah, so Eternals is out there now, doing pretty good business at the box office. Very, very much divided the critics, but the audience seems to like it a lot, so there's all that. I don't know if you guys heard this, but there's a story going out right now about the writing team who wrote Eternals, talking about the fact that they have a prequel series all planned out and ready to go, and that they would like to do this on Disney+. Now, look, normally, actor says they'd like a job is not a story, right? I normally won't do a story about, oh, Ryan Gosling says he'd like to do an Indiana Jones movie someday. I don't think that's a story. But when you actually have the writers of the movie that is now in theaters, and they're saying, we've got this show mapped out and ready to go, you got to at least talk about, well, what are we talking about? This comes to us from the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter, quoting Ryan and Kaz Firpo. These are the writers of Eternals. And they said the following: go back and do a Kingo episode in the 1890s in Mumbai, where he is juggling his life as a movie star, dealing with Gandhi's peaceful dissolution of the British Empire in India. And there's an episode with Thena where she's in Greece. I would love to make that show. There are a lot of opportunities. If the audience allows us, there's going to be a story to tell with Dane Whitman. Of course, we know him from the post-credit scene. There's going to be a story to tell in the cosmos with the Eternals confronting Arishem and all the Celestials who are these incredible metaphors for creation. I think there's a lot of stories in the Eternals universe. Okay, that comes to us again from the writers of Eternals. All right, what do I think about this? First of all, as far as Eternals go, I quite like the movie. I've said many times on here, it is not what some people speculated might be the best Marvel movie of all time. I've told you on my show, I've heard people inside Disney say that they believe that Marvel has made their best movie they've ever done in Eternals. Having seen it, I don't agree with that. I don't even think it's the best Marvel movie of the year. I think that title goes to Shang-Chi, but I did quite enjoy it. I've already seen it 4 times in theaters, and I'm going to go see it at least one more time in theaters. I think Ann and I want to go out and see it at least one more time. So it'll probably be 5 times. Not matching the 7 times that I saw Shang-Chi, but there you have it. I like it quite a bit. And the writers aren't wrong in expressing that there's a lot of stories here you can tell. And he's right. When you're talking about galactic characters who have been on Earth for 7,000 years and who have literally seen the entire evolution of human culture, there's obviously a lot of stories there to tell. There's obviously a lot of directions you can go. And compounding on top of that, you don't just have one character. You've got 10. You've got 10 of these Eternal characters. And so when you combine cosmic beings, been on Earth for 7,000 years, seen all of the evolution of human civilization, and there's 10 of them that could tell a lot of different points of views and lots of stories, is there a lot of potential there for storytelling? Absolutely there is. Absolutely there is. Did I like Eternals? Yes. Are there a lot of stories you could tell with an Eternals prequel series? Yes. Do I think they should do an Eternals prequel series? No, I don't. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. If they did one, I would tune into it and I would give it a watch. But I would rather them focus their energies elsewhere and do other things. And look, I have to admit, this partially comes from a pre-existing bias of mine that I'm not really huge on prequel material of any type. Let's see the story of younger version of that character. Oh, let's go see what happened before the events of that movie. I'm normally not big on that, although there are definitely some big exceptions that I do like a lot. Absolutely, there are exceptions. There are. But while there is a lot of story potential with the Eternals going backwards, I would argue there's just as much story potential in the Eternals going forward. Like you talked about Whitman, you talked about Kit Harington's character, right? Yeah, there's some stuff you could look at him before he met Cersei, I suppose, and look at the history of his family, and he wrestles with his uncle and whether or not to take up the sword, and sure, you can do all of that. But you could also do those types of flashbacks in a story about him moving forward, right? Just as you told the story of Eternals on the big screen and did flashbacks to fill in the gaps of their backgrounds, you can still do that with him moving forward. On top of that, I'm a much bigger fan of the format of a standalone movie than I am of a series. And you guys know I love my TV series. I love a lot of Disney Plus series, love Mandalorian, I love series. But I'm a bigger fan of the storytelling format of a movie. I'm more of a fan of that format. And you've already got the Eternals here. And listen, I just kind of think an Eternals series on Disney Plus presents 2 problems. Pick your poison. Number 1, it's far too expensive to do as a series. Far too expensive as a series. Even the most expensive series that, Disney Plus has done only ends up being about 50 million, or no, what was the number we came up with? Maybe it was like 35 million, like maybe 35 million an hour. 35 million an hour, right? or it was even lower than that. I can't remember exactly. But at any rate, we did the math before on a Campea Classroom where like even the most expensive television series ever made is laughably small in budget compared on a per minute basis of the budgets that go into making a full feature film. So you either got to, one, have a far too expensive series, or number two, you got to cheap out on it. You got to cheap out on it and do the best you can with a smaller budget. And I don't know that you can do that once you've already had them on the big screen. So I don't know. Listen, to me, I think the roadmap is already there because we've got the future of Cersei without saying how Cersei ends, but we got the future of Cersei to talk about. We got the future of Kit Harington's character to talk about. We got the future of the other Eternals and where does this story go? And even the post-credit scenes offered up a lot of possibilities. So I think they're right. There is a lot of storytelling potential moving backwards with the Eternals. But I think it's better to move forward. So number one, I'm not really super interested in a Disney Plus Eternals. I'm more interested in a Eternals 2. And I don't think it's something they would do because I think it's just a little bit cost prohibitive. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I could be 1,000% wrong about this, guys. 1,000% wrong. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The writers of Eternals are saying they've got this thing mapped out. They've got a prequel series in mind for Disney Plus. They want to do it. Do you think they should? Do you think they will? Whatever your guys' opinions on that are, jump down to the comment section below and leave them there. All right, guys. With all that down, let's move on to main topic number 5. And our 5th main topic today gets sent to us by, where'd it go? Oh yes, gets sent to us by John Atwall. And John Atwall writes, "Hey John, this morning, The Hollywood Reporter dropped an interview with ya boy, Henry Cavill. In the interview, he speaks on Highlander, 007, The Witcher, and even Superman. He made the same statement of having the cape in the closet whenever Warner Brothers is ready for a follow-up. Am I wrong in allowing this to give me hope for this Man of Steel follow-up? And what do you think of the whole interview?" All right, John, thanks a lot for sending that in. I might have minor interest, maybe a minor interest in this particular topic, maybe. Give me 1 second here. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I might have minor interest in this. Oh, hello, Henry. Where did you come from? I didn't know you were there. I'm a big fan of the show, John. Oh, Henry, you flatter me. You absolutely flatter me. A live studio audience, what can I say? So I might have a minor interest in this. But yeah, so basically, here's what we know, okay? So Henry Cavill is, and you can all sing it along with me what I'm about to say, he is the Superman in, everybody together, the most underrated comic book movie of all time, Man of Steel. The most underrated comic book movie in the history of comic book movies is this guy's Big H. I just made that up. That's what I'm going to call Henry from now on. Big H. He's totally my bro crush. Henry Cavill is totally my celebrity bro crush. I'm going to deny it. He totally is. But obviously then all the drama, right? There comes word, this was covered over a year ago, there comes word that they're not going to move forward with any more Superman with him. Warner Brothers even put out a statement saying, oh, we love Henry and we love Superman, but as of right now, we have no plans to do more Superman with Henry. And then, we even had, his own agent and himself saying, oh, no, look, the cape's still in his closet. The cape's still in his closet. But we've really seen nothing. But in the world of Superman, we've seen a lot of things going on, right? Michael B. Jordan's got like some kind of Superman thing going on. We've got J.J. Abrams has got a Superman thing going on, separate Superman, but nothing about Henry Cavill. I was kind of dreaming upon dream that maybe, just maybe, at DC Fandom, they would give us a surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, quick surprise. And then all of a sudden, hello, everybody. I'm Henry Cavill. And Henry Cavill comes on screen to announce to the world that maybe not necessarily Man of Steel 2, but like I'm returning. Like I really kind of hoped, and I even thought there was a little bit of a chance that at DC Fandom it would be announced that Henry Cavill was coming back as Superman. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. This interview, and I had pretty much then given up hope. With there being no announcement at DC Fandom, I had pretty much given up hope. But I will tell you this interview has re-sparked my hope. And I actually think that Henry Cavill in this interview is hinting to us that we're going to see his return. Now, a lot of this is interpretive, admittedly. Fully admittedly, a lot of it's interpretive. But let's go and take a look to see what our boy Big H had to say when talking about Superman. He said, that's the wrong thing there. Where is this thing? Oh, there it is right here. Hold a second. Sorry. He said the following, as I still have a black screen. Where did it go? Here it is. He said the following. He said this. He said, this is coming from that interview in the Hollywood Reporter. It says this: in May, DC announced the development of a Black Superman film, making Henry Cavill's return as the superhero icon even more uncertain. It's exciting. Superman, this is now Henry Cavill speaking. It's exciting. Superman's far more than skin color, Cavill says. Superman is an ideal. Superman's an extraordinary thing that lives within our hearts. Why not have multiple Supermen going on? Listen to that again. Why not have multiple Supermen going on? Joaquin Phoenix did a wonderful Joker movie. So what if it's not tied to the rest of the franchise? They have multiple Superman comic book storylines all happening at the same time, and he's absolutely right about that. There is still a lot of storytelling for me to do as Superman, and I would absolutely love the opportunity, Cavill says. The killing of Zod gave a reason for the character to never kill again. Superman falling to the ground and screaming afterwards, I don't think that was originally in the script, but I wanted to show the pain he had. One of the best scenes in the movie, by the way. I did far more emotional takes they didn't choose. Tears were happening. He just killed the last remaining member of his species. There's an opportunity for growth after that, to explore the psyche of Superman as a deep, seemingly invulnerable, godlike being, but with real feeling on the inside. As I always say, the cape is still in the closet. One more time with that one line. Why not have multiple Supermen going on? Okay, so you may read that, right? You may read all this, and you may think to yourself, well, John, all that's really, and you wouldn't be wrong, John, all that's really doing is telling us that Henry Cavill would like to do it again. And you're not wrong. All that is definitively said in that whole statement, the only true factual message that comes out from that statement is that Henry Cavill would like to play Superman again. That's the only thing, and I concede that. I fully concede that. But I don't know about you, but recently, over the last, say, 3 years, I have found when an actor or director or studio talks about something in any sort of detail, like when they're talking about something that's a possibility, I have found over the last number of years when actors or directors are talking about something that could be a possibility, but they start going into details and they start talking about it at length. I have found that there have been a number of occasions, and you can disagree with me if you'd like about this, because maybe I'm way off. Maybe my heart's a little too into this one. But I have found that when you hear an actor or director talking a lot about it, and then start talking about details, I have found that there have been a number of occasions when it's turned out that there was actually a done deal. Like it's actually, it's not that it could actually happen. It's that it's behind the scenes. It's done. It's happened. And they're just waiting until they're going to announce it. This has happened before. We've all seen this happen with a number of situations over the last couple of years, right? So keeping that in mind, going back and seeing Henry Cavill, number one, still talking Superman. And not just, Superman was a great period of my life. and it was an honor to play him. Or, you know what? I love that character. I'd still love to play him if I could. Instead of just doing that, Cavill goes in more. He goes in more. And he starts talking about why not have multiple Supermen? Superman's an ideal. There are multiple Superman comic book storylines happening at the same time. Henry Cavill is already defending the notion of having multiple Supermen going. And then he talks exactly about a character path that they'll follow if they do. Hey man, he's just killed Zod. This is going to be transformative. He had to kill the last member of his own species. This is absolutely narratively transformative for the character. And he basically said, I've still got work to do on this character. I still have work to do on him. There's opportunity for growth. I ain't done with this character. And then he says again, as I always say, the cape is still in the closet. The cape is still in the closet. Is Henry Cavill directly coming out here? Am I proposing here that directly Cameron, that Henry Cavill has directly just come out and verified and confirmed that, hey guys, me coming back as Superman is still likely? I'm not saying that. There's 1,000 other explanations for every single thing he said. But I think you can indulge me a little bit when I say I think there is some precedent, especially over the last couple of years, when this kind of detail is being talked about. It's been years since Cavill has put on the Superman costume. And yet here he is, he's still talking about it, and he's talking in detail. He's talking about doing multiple Supermen all at the same time running. He's justifying why they can still do it. And he's still, again, reaffirming my cape's still in the closet. Look, it might be, I fully confess, a little bit of wishful thinking. It might be a little bit of wishful thinking. I fully concede that. The real possibility here, the biggest potential, the largest percentage chance here is that Henry Cavill will never wear the Superman costume again. I admit that. That is on the table. I concede that the biggest possibility here, the biggest reality here is probably the reality that Henry Cavill has worn the Superman costume for the last time. I admit that. It is. I also admit that I am a bigger fan than most of Man of Steel, and therefore there's a little place in my heart that really just wants to see Henry Cavill back as Superman again. He's my favorite Superman. So I admit, a part of my speculation here comes from a pre-existing, Man of Steel shaped hole in my heart right now. I admit that as well. But I contend that if you look beyond that there is actually a basis here to wonder. I personally think there is actually a basis here to wonder. Maybe yes, maybe no. What do you guys think? After reading all the comments from all the quotes that Henry Cavill had to say, talking about Man of Steel, what do you think? Do you think there's a possibility here that he's kind of hinting that, yeah, there's still stuff going on behind the scenes. Superman can do this, he can do that. I can go in this direction with it. I still got the cape, and you can have multiple Supermen going. Do you think he's kind of dropping hints here? Or do you think this is all just the delusions of a heartsick Man of Steel fan who just can't get over the fact that Henry Cavill is done as Superman? That's probably the case, but I still think there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Guys, what do you think about this? You think I'm crazy? You think there might be something to it? Do you think we're ever going to see Henry Cavill again? Let me ask you guys in the live chat right now. Type in a percentage. Type in a percentage for me. What percentage chance do you give from 0 to 100 that we are going to see Henry Cavill back as Superman again? All right, the first one in there is I love Brandon, 79%. I'm seeing Chris saying 85%. Red Comment is saying 45. The Cool Kid is saying 65. Uncle John is saying 3%. Wolverine saying 100%. I got Fanimator saying 60. Olanzo saying 70. And now the numbers are going by way too fast. I'm seeing a couple of 100%. I'm seeing a couple of 0%. We got Jalen Thornton is saying 11%. Real McCoy saying 15. Mo Day saying 50. Alex is saying 55. I mean, look at this. Look at the live chat right now, guys. The numbers are all over the place, going from 0 to 100. So it's interesting here. So I want to know what you got. You know what? Why don't I do this? I'm going to do this right now. Let's make a poll question. Over or under 50% Cavill is back as Superman sometime. All right, let's do this. So I'm going to say over 50% or under. Okay, guys, I just created a poll. For those of you, this is only for those of you guys who are watching this show live. I just put up a poll in the live chat, and it's real simple. We're just going to go for likelihood here. Over 50% means, yeah, I think it's likely that he'll come back. Under 50%, it's unlikely. So, all right, we got 200 votes in there already. Right now, 64% of you are saying over 50%. See, I'm not alone. I'm not the only heart-sick Man of Steel fan out there wondering about this. We're closing in on 500 votes now, and it's still hanging in there. 62% of you are saying over 50%. 38% of you are saying under 60, 38% of you are saying under 50%. We're now just crossing 600 votes. It's now 60. Okay, so there we go. So most of you guys think, apparently, maybe my heartsick Man of Steel longing has convinced you, but right now, the majority of you guys, by a bit, 64% to 36% right now, are saying you believe over 60% that we're going to get, or over 50% that we're going to get him back. So, all right, that's there. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this whole thing? What do you think about his comments about Man of Steel, the returning as Superman? Do you think there's in there a little bit of hinting that there's stuff going on behind the scenes that we could see him? Or do you think this is just, you know, an admittedly heartfelt, biased fan of this stuff that's only hearing what he wants to hear? Well, hey, listen, we're all subject to being like that, right? I am too. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down and out of the way, let's now move on and start taking your questions that you guys have sent in via the tip link. Once again, if you guys want to send in a topic or question for us to talk about here on the show, simply use the tip link that's down in the description of this video, or you can use the tip link that's at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. We'll be getting to these questions in just a second, but just remember, you'll be getting your comment or question on the show if, of course, they're appropriate for us to use on our show. And, of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. All right, but before we do that, you guys have been firing in some live opinions. Those of you guys who are watching the show live, you guys have been firing in some live opinions and thoughts about some of the topics that we've been discussing here today. So let's go over and see what you guys have been saying in the live chat, shall we? And we're going to get things started off here with Joseph Michael. And Joseph Michael writes, have you and Anne, where'd we go? There we are. Have you and Anne gotten a chance to see Encanto yet? No, I was invited to an Encanto screening last week, and I was going to go, but at the last minute, I just couldn't do it. It was a little bit too far for me to go, but I've heard great things about it. I got a chance to see Encanto yet. So far, the reactions are glowing. John Rocco was wrecked. Probably haven't seen this hype for a Disney movie feature since Hercules when I was 7 years old. Yeah, I wanted to go see it. I couldn't get around to it, but I'm hearing nothing but really, really good things about it, Joseph. So we'll see. Now, I just want to remind you guys, Super Chat feature here is for sending your thoughts and opinions, not for asking questions, but there you go. Let's see. Next up, we've got Sam Fisher who writes, what is, if you were always John, let me try this again. What is, if you always John, any actor wants any role? The Henry Cavill story doesn't really feel like news. Oh, yeah. So what Sam Fisher is saying is that, you know, I'm often saying it's not a story that somebody wants to play a role, but I think there's more to it than that here. I kind of explained that off the beginning. All right. Sam also writes, I am there for an Eternals prequel series. I'm kind of surprised to hear that, but I'm guessing more of you guys want it than I do. So that's interesting. All right. Next up, Vlad Mormont writes, I bought the Asus ZenBook Pro Duo 15. I'm jealous. That is a sweet looking machine, man. You've recommended last year, gonna pay for it monthly for 1.5 years, but so worth it for creative purposes and gaming. So I remember that, Vlad, you writing, I'm glad you got it. Vlad was asking about a laptop, and I mentioned this one. It's got like dual screens built into it. At least it's got the main screen, and then at the top of the keypad, there's another entire screen, and it's all touch, and you can actually move windows between them. It looks sweet as hell, and I'm kind of jealous that you got it there, guy. All right. K Major writes, wasn't the first 10 minutes of Eternals a prequel views of sorts? Yeah, you're right, K Major. that's the thing. Like I said, if you want to tell story backwards, you can do it in a story moving forward. And that's exactly what they did there. So that's an excellent point. Okay, let's see. The next up comes to us from I'm dying, you idiot. Sinclair writes, hopefully the second weekend drop for Eternals box office isn't too severe. That's going to be interesting to see, right? Especially today. Like, we know that opening weekend box office numbers are severely hampered by, people getting back out to the theaters again. Still, people are very concerned about the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So there's that. But the real important number right now isn't even so much the first weekend number. It's the second weekend numbers. So that's kind of the important one right now. So you're right. Let's see how it does on its second weekend. Like, if it makes over $30 million on its second weekend, that's good. That keeps it within the 50 to 60% drop range, which is where you want your movies to be. I mean, lower than that is even better, but that's where you want it to be. So if it can make over 30 million, that's encouraging. If it makes under 30, that's a little bit concerning. All right. Let's see. Lord Genome writes, over under 30%, Ned will be Hobgoblin and Spider-Man. I'm going to go under 30% on that. All right. Next up, Arun Babaraj writes, my local theater has 4K projection and Dolby Atmos. But the best part is they start the movie on time. Nice. For Eternals, they even fast forwarded the credits to show the end credits scene. It was amazing. Oh, dude, you have the best movie theater ever. Now, look, I understand there are a lot of people who worked very hard on the movie and deserve to have their name in the credits. I get that. But the audience doesn't care. I know that's insensitive to say, I know, but that is the truth. The audience doesn't care about the credits. The fact that you have a movie theater that will fast forward through the credits to get to the end credits is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. All right. Next up, Dinosaur's Limb. Tips in like $50. Thank you, Dinosaur's Limb, for supporting our channel on that level, dude. Dinosaur's Limb writes, been working 60 hours a week and listening to your show at work allows me not to be alone with my thoughts for a couple of hours. As a night shift worker, please keep doing the live streams. Amazon nights is a lonely place. Dude, 60 hours a week, you bust your ass. And listen, as somebody who orders a lot of stuff from Amazon, actually, I got a big package coming today. Thank you for the work that you do. If you're part of the machine that gets that stuff that I need delivered to me when it comes to me, thank you for being part of that, man. And it is an honor for us, Dinosaur, to be there while you're working nights. So thank you for sharing that, dude. And again, thank you for supporting our channel on that level. That's really cool of you. All right. Let's see. Mike Hill writes, I think Superman will face off against Black Adam should he return. Exciting. Listen, that's not the craziest thing in the world, because Henry Cavill's manager is also Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's manager, who also happens to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's ex-wife. It's a really interesting scenario there. Like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's manager, I don't know if she calls herself his agent or his manager. I don't know what the right terminology is, but his ex-wife is actually his manager, and they apparently have a great relationship. Like, I saw Dwayne talking about apparently they have a great relationship. And, yeah, but anyway, so there is a connection there. So you're not the first person to suggest that maybe, just maybe, we could see if, we could see Henry in Black Adam. Now, I'm not saying that's likely at all. I'm not saying that at all, but who knows? It's not the craziest thing in the world when you look at the circumstances surrounding it. Casey Mack writes, I think if we're going to get a trailer for Jurassic World 3, I think it's more likely we could get it with Matrix Resurrection, if anything. Again, I feel like that's way too early, right? That's way too early. I just don't see them doing that for by the time it comes out. It would probably be for another film that maybe comes after that. Maybe. All right. Let's see. Detroit Dog writes, Tom Holland is playing Peter Parker and Pinocchio as well. That's the comment of the day so far, Detroit Dog. Well said. All right. Next up, Casey Mack writes, I don't know if you can believe what stars say is or isn't in a movie these days. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Majors said he isn't in Loki until he was. Yeah, see, that's a funny thing about the Jonathan Majors one. I remember I always had questions about that because it wasn't done at a press conference. Because remember Tatiana Maslany? There was a story going around that she denied she was in She-Hulk, but I questioned that story right from the beginning. It's like, first of all, this wasn't in one of the major trades. This is in a small little municipal, I think it was Sudbury, like Canadian newspaper. And I'm like, I have a feeling something was lost in translation there, because I can't see, Miss Lonnie doing this, making this big pronouncement and doing from this tiny little, I always felt like that was probably not reported correctly. So I don't know that she lied there. And while I can't remember all the exact circumstances surrounding Jonathan Majors thing, I remember always questioning if that was legit. But if it is, that is another good example, KC. Dan the Man writes, regardless of any leaks before today about No Way Home, we're supposed to believe MCU Peter can fight Raimi's Doc Ock. None of that sounds right. Well, remember, it's all about how you write them in the movie you're doing, right? You can say, wait a minute. Green Arrow shouldn't be able to take Superman. Well, depends who's writing it. Yeah, I mean, you can write it a certain way. They can say that this Peter is more powerful. Remember, this Peter has the spider armor. He has the Spider-Man Iron Man Jr. armor, so that could give him a little bit of a heads up. Alan Gonzalez writes, I remember that for Independence Day. I saw the trailer 1 week before the movie came out. I don't know if that was when it was dropped, but I was hyped. Yeah, I think the trailer definitely came out before that, but like, let's go back to John Wick. I talk about this in my documentary. Once again, plug. Movie Trailers, a Love Story. If you like movie trailers, go check out my documentary about movie trailers. Anyway, we talk about this in there, is that the first trailer for John Wick only dropped like 1 month before the movie came out. I mean, it's just something to keep in mind. All right, Chris Lambert writes, Tom saying Toby and Andrew aren't in Spider-Man. Could it be one, but not the other? I think it should be both or neither. I personally think it will be both. Here's the thing. I agree with you. I don't think it would be one or the other. Like, I think if they're doing it, I think it'll be both, right? Like, if Toby's in it, I think Andrew's in it. If Andrew's in it, I think Toby's in it. I don't think they do one or the other. I mean, Tom says neither of them are in it. All right. But I think if they're going to do it, it's going to be both, but that's just kind of my take on that. Okay. Where are we at here? Where are we at? Oh, we're at Dan the Man. Dan the Man writes, is Japanese Spidey lying about being in No Way Home? Is there Japanese? Oh yeah. The one that fights alongside Godzilla. That's an interesting question, Dan the Man. All right. Next up, Casey Mack writes, yeah, what are they supposed to say? Sure, I'm in it. Pretty much spoils the movie surprise and gets in trouble with the studio. Let's be frank, Tom has spoiled things in the past. I mean, you're absolutely right about that, man. Tom has gotten himself in trouble, a number of times for saying things he's not supposed to say. That has absolutely happened before. 100% that's happened before. And so he's got to mind his P's and Q's a little bit. He's got to be very careful about what he does and does not say. I mean, even all the other members of the MCU have joked about the fact that Tom Holland has had in the past a tendency to kind of have loose lips, right? To talk a little bit too much, to say things that he shouldn't be saying. So they do have to be careful with that. All right, Maurice Seifring writes, Kevin Feige can give lessons on how to sidestep a question he doesn't want to answer. Kevin Feige is a master at that. You're right. He should honestly do a workshop with all the actors in the MCU about, hey, look, if you asked a question, here's how you sidestep the question. Here's how you sidestep it. Just a little bit of that. Okay. Next up, we've got Harvey Kung who writes, they're just doing their jobs. I assume talking about actors sidestepping questions or lying about questions, but maybe potential story pointed questions should not be asked by reporters. So actors, etc., are not put on the spot. It's movies after all, not investigative journalism. I disagree with you, Harvey. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I 100% disagree with you. It is not journalists' jobs to keep your secrets. It's not the job of journalists to keep your secrets. It is the journalist's jobs to ask questions, to get information, and specifically to get information they feel their readers, listeners, or viewers want to read, hear, or see. That's the journalist's job. It ain't their job to protect you. It's their job to ask you the questions. It's your job on how you choose to respond to those questions. Right? It's your job to how you respond to the questions. It ain't the journalist's jobs to help protect your movie. It ain't the journalist's jobs to help protect your project. It's their job to get as much information as they can particularly information they think that their audiences want to hear. On that level, I don't think there's any question that's off limits. Now, there was an example a while ago. Remember that one time with Robert Downey Jr.? And like one of the journalists was getting into stuff about Robert Downey Jr.'s dad and really personal stuff. And like, that was just icky and wrong. But in talking about the movie, it's like, oh, you want to promote your movie? You want to talk about the movie? Okay, I'm going to ask you questions about the movie. And then it's up to you if you want to answer it or not. It is not the journalist's job to protect your movie. That's your job. It's their job to ask you questions. Anyway, Harvey, that's just kind of my take on it. That's how I interpret it. At any rate, let's see. Bobby Jackson writes, I called my shot on Monday before Campea leaks that No Way Home would make between 200 to 210 million, and I'm even more confident now. Yeah, I remember that. Now, here's where I'm at on that, Bobby. Here's where I'm at on that. I think that remember, you got to understand, we're in a period of time right now where there has been no movie in this era right now that has made more than $100 million at the box office on opening weekend. Not one. So I'm thinking Spider-Man No Way Home makes around 150, which blows the current record away. But if they do put out a trailer that shows Toby and Andrew in it, which I've always believed they're going to do if they're in the movie. I believe if they're in the movie, they're gonna be in a trailer because that will sell all the tickets. If they do that, I will agree with you. I think 200 to 210, hell, I'll even say 220 million becomes in play. I think 220 million opening weekend becomes in play. We'll have to see. All right. Scott D writes, I keep coming back to maybe other Spider-Men are in the post-credit scene or actually in the Multiverse of Madness instead of No Way Home. Thus, Tom isn't lying and the pics are real and it's all true. I mean, maybe that could be a way they could explain that, Scott. That could be a way they explain it. So we'll see. All right. Next up. Actually, that's a very good explanation, Scott. But again, I don't think if they're going to be in this movie, that it's going to be just a quick little post-credit cameo. I don't think that's the case. Zishan writes, I have no idea why people say Squid Game was a limited series. The ending was such a clear cliffhanger for a season 2. Yeah, I agree. I have heard people recently talking about Squid Game as like a great limited series, but I honestly never heard it was ever meant as a limited series. I mean, maybe I just missed that because I wasn't following Squid Game in its early release, so I don't know. But I certainly never interpreted it as a limited series, but oh well. All right, next up. We've got, what are we at? Fiction Films writes, do you think that the villains in No Way Home may just be variants of the villains from the previous Spider-Man movies and Tom Holland is telling the truth? I don't think they're going to bring variants into it. I think multiverse and variants, it depends on how you interpret it. I see it as a little bit of a different thing. Let's put it this way. I don't think they're going to make you watching the Loki series a prerequisite to being able to understand what's going on in Spider-Man Multiverse of Madness. I don't think they're going to do this movie in such a way that if you didn't watch the Loki series, you're going to be lost. Tough. Too bad for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Man. It's a possibility, but it'll be interesting to see how they do it. So many questions, Fiction Films. So many questions. Let's see. Detroit Dog writes, why is White and Nerdy recommended to me right now on YouTube just because you are wearing that hoodie? I didn't even type it or anything. That's crazy. All right, listen, can we get serious for a second? Can we get serious for a second? Here's the thing. I think I have more and more been recognizing, and maybe it was always there and maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe it was there the whole time. Like I've always noticed the little things like, oh, I've been talking a lot about buying a new keyboard, like not a computer keyboard, but like a piano keyboard, right? I've been talking a lot about buying a keyboard lately. And all of a sudden, I'm getting, when I'm on Facebook or I'm on Instagram, or I'm on wherever, all of a sudden I'm getting a lot of ads for keyboards. Now, I'm able to write that off in my head because I'm like, oh, maybe since I've been thinking about it, I probably did Google searches for it and stuff like that. And so my cookies know I'm looking for a keyboard, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you what, dog, Detroit dog, I'm telling you what, lately, I feel like I've been seeing very specific ads pop up for just something Ann and I have talked about once or twice. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I have done a search or something like that, but I'm feeling, and that's why when I did get the iPhone 13, I'm not going to lie. I still kind of prefer, my Android phone, but this is growing on me. It's growing on me. But one of the things that I really like about the Apple phone right now and the iOS on it is that when you're loading up apps now, this is new thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. When you load up apps, iOS will say, hey, this app is going to try to track you across other apps as well. Do you want to block them from doing that? Yes. And I found myself doing that a lot lately because and listen, I'm not surprised, Detroit dog, to hear that I'm just wearing a white nerdy sweatshirt and all of a sudden you're getting white nerdy. Like, does your computer know what's on its screen? Does it know what's on your screen? I mean, I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I'm hitting that block tracking thing every single time I install an app on my phone now because I'm getting a little bit paranoid about it. And maybe I am just being paranoid. All right, next up. The Scarlet Witch Project, I like that name, writes, mocap tease is Venom or Mysterio. So I mentioned yesterday that I had more pictures, but one in particular was really, really interesting. And I said, look, I'm not going to give you anything. We'll even give you a guess. And I said, I guarantee you're not going to know what it was. You're going to have no idea what it was. I guarantee you that. All I said was, it was a picture that had somebody in a motion capture suit. And if we're talking about the Spider-Man universe, and I tell you, you'll never, like, I feel 100% confident you're never going to guess who or what it is, then clearly it's not Venom, because that's kind of an obvious stab. That's kind of an obvious stab, so I'm going to say no, it was not Venom. All right, next up, Michael Joyce writes, it would mean so much to me if DC would give us Man of Steel 2 already. Cavill, I think, is the best Superman. Dude, you know me. You are preaching to the choir. You're preaching. I'm yelling hallelujah. Absolutely. Amen. I want that. I want that so bad. I want that so bad, dude. All right. Scarlet Witch Project writes, Lord of the Rings series will cost 3 times as much as what Return of the King cost. No, not on a per hour basis. It's not. On a per hour basis, if you go and break down the finances on a per hour basis, Lord of the Rings, I believe, still costs more. Now, Lord of the Rings, they were able to do Lord of the Rings remarkably cheap because of Weta and New Zealand and Peter Jackson, how they did it, and the fact that they shot it all back to back, which drastically reduced their costs, like a lot. But I think if you go back and break it down on a per hour basis, I think the per hour expense of Lord of the Rings, even though Lord of the Rings was done remarkably cheap for what it was, like remarkably cheap, like you can't duplicate it anymore, I still think it's a higher per hour thing. All right, next up, we got Casey Mack, who writes, unfortunately, John, you don't need to convince us that you want Henry Cavill back. Somebody needs to convince the Warner Brothers heads, and I don't think that will happen. I've got one little stick of hope I'm holding on to, Casey. One little stick of hope that I'm holding on to. And that little stick of hope is Zaslav over at Discovery. My one little stick of hope is that when Discovery takes over Warner Brothers and Zaslav is in charge, that he's going to go, get on the phone. Get me Henry Cavill on the phone. That's my one stick of hope. We'll see what happens. All right. Frankie Goose writes, Squid Game, another Netflix Korean show I even like better is Kingdom. I love Kingdom. Best zombie content I've seen in years. If you guys haven't seen Kingdom, and by the way, you guys are the ones who turned me on to Kingdom. Great Korean period piece zombie show. It's crazy. I mean, I actually avoided the show at first when I heard about it because this just sounds too nuts. But once I dove in and started watching it, couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop. All right, Jody Harkavy just sends in a $20 super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. As does Javon Vanderhorst. Sends in just a $20 super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you. Guys, that's awfully nice of you. Thank you so much for supporting us on that level, guys, without even sending in a comment or anything. All right. Tulslabs786 writes, if Warner Brothers officially cancels Cavill as Superman, then Marvel should cast him as one of the main X-Men or Fantastic Four. I don't know. Look, a lot of people want Henry Cavill as Captain Britain, but it doesn't have to be Henry Cavill. And the reality is Henry Cavill could play a lot of different roles because he's a really good actor. Go back and watch him in The Tudors. Like, he's a really, really good actor. And you could basically put him in anything, but I don't know. I don't know if Henry Cavill would do that. Maybe he would, maybe he would. It would be kind of funny to see him go over to Marvel. We'll see. All right. Sly Media writes, or just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you for that, man. James Argento writes, No Way Home prediction, Doc Ock destroys the Iron Man spider armor. Oh my God, if it does, that'll be my favorite moment in all of the Marvel Spider-Man movies. You guys know I don't like the Iron Man Jr. armor on Spider-Man. You guys know that. All right, where are we at, man? And Virtuosos sends in a $20 super chat badge as well. Thank you, Virtuosos. I appreciate that, man, very much. All right, guys. I shut down the super chat feature. That's all the time we have for your live comments right here. Thank you guys for everybody who sent in those comments, and you all gave us a lot of stuff to talk about. All right. Now with that down, I keep forgetting. I see my mom's like, wait a minute. I forgot Henry's that close right now. Let's move on and start taking the questions that you guys have been sending in, the topics you guys want us to talk about in the live chats. So here we go. Frank writes in, I don't believe in Jenkins' Star Wars movie. I saw Wonder Woman 84 and was shocked. She showed in the first Wonder Woman that she can direct a movie, but with part 2, she lost that ability. I felt I was watching an Ed Wood movie. Here's what I would suggest, Frank. Look, was I disappointed with Wonder Woman 84? Yeah, I was disappointed in it too. But I think it's incredibly short-sighted to just look at the last thing somebody did and go, oh, well, they suck. Not only did Patty Jenkins do Wonder Woman, she also did Monster, which won Charlize Theron an Academy Award and was, I believe, was nominated for several others. It's a wonderful, magnificent movie. It's not like Patty Jenkins was some one-hit wonder and then suddenly she put out a bad movie. She has shown she's a really good director. And yeah, Wonder Woman 84 missed the mark. Steven Spielberg has bad days at the office, and I think he's the greatest filmmaker of all time. So I would say, try not to be so short-sighted that we're only looking at, well, the last thing I saw them do, that means now they suck. They suck now because I didn't like the last thing they did. And it's now, if she makes another 2 movies in a row that we're all disappointed in, okay, maybe we need to reevaluate the conversation on Patty Jenkins. But right now, I still think she's earned the benefit of the doubt. That's my take on it at any rate. All right, next up. We've got Mo. What is that? Mo. Oh, Mo. Just Mo writes, 1 of 3. I love building Legos. Oh, my wife likes that too a lot, actually, especially now as a married adult. In the past year, I've built multiple sets, including the roller coaster ride, 4,124 pieces, the Daily Bugle of 3,772 pieces, Haunted Mansion, 3,231 pieces, and the Millennium Falcon at 7,541 pieces. Is that Millennium Falcon not like $1,000? Can you guys in the live chat help me out with that? That Millennium, because I have looked at that Millennium Falcon. I have looked very hard at that Millennium Falcon. I'm not a Lego guy myself, but I honestly thought about getting that Millennium Falcon. Is that one not like $1,000? Maybe you guys can let me know in the thing there. Anthony Martinelli is saying it's $800. So is John AM. Dominic is saying it's $1,000 on Amazon. Yeah, I've thought about it, but if I did that, I would totally do a Lego movie thing and do a crackle on it. If I built that Millennium Falcon, I would cover it in glue. I would paste that thing in glue to make sure it never came across. Anyway, let's keep going here. Recently, I made the Seinfeld set. Nice. I've seen that one. It's a small set, but it's so cool. It's basically the character studio apartment. Now, my next project I'm starting on is the new Home Alone set, which just came out. It includes the McAllister house, Marv/Harry van and tree. Very cool house. It features a lot of detailed traps inside, 3,955 pieces. I'm now waiting on people who can sponsor me the new Titanic set, which is 9,000 pieces. It's 54 inches long and it only costs $700. Love the show as always, man. Bring on the filthy, and I miss Rob. Yeah, Rob was going to be on the show yesterday, but he had family come into town, and he sent his regrets for that. I would say this. There ain't nothing wrong with that, dude. Because I think there's probably some people reading that and thinking, you know, that's a lot of money to spend on stuff, but think about like Hot Toys, right? Like talking about Rob, I think Rob's probably got like 300 or 400 Hot Toys, right? Hot Toys are expensive. Now they don't, well, some of them cost $700 plus, but you know, you can spend $250 to $400 on one single Hot Toy. Every Hot Toy. If you love these big Lego things, and man, look, I'm not a Lego guy, but I've seen some of those Lego things and they look gorgeous. Like the Millennium Falcon one, the Star Destroyer one is one I'm really interested in. Here's the thing though. I honestly, if I bought one of those, I would jump on Craigslist and try to hire somebody to come and put it together for me, because I would have no way, I have no interest in putting it together myself. I would just want the final product, but that's just me. Thanks for sharing your passion on that, man. Appreciate it very much. That's really cool. All right. Next up, Anonymous, you're right. Just keep on what you were doing for years. Thank you and your team. Oh, thank you, Anonymous. Appreciate that very much, dude. Thank you for the kind words. Brett Zoe Claire tips in like $20. Thank you, Brett, for supporting the channel on that level, man. Who writes, you are my hero, John. Thank you very much. I love Disney and Marvel as you do, but with the No Way Home photos now online, how does this change your relationship with the Mouse House? Has anyone officially contacted you yet, and have they asked you to give up your source? All right, I'll address this for a second. Has anybody contacted me? Yes. Did they ask me to give up my source? Yes. Did I give up my source? No, I refuse. I'm not going to do that. And look, I got contacted by somebody at Disney, and others, but I got contacted by somebody at Disney, and look, they made it very clear. Look, we know you didn't do this on purpose. We know you thought the image was fake. We understand that. We know. And we had to have a lockup. But when you asked, is this going to affect my relationship with the studio? Well, they didn't say anything, but of course it is. Of course it is. This is absolutely going to impact my relationship with the studio. 100% it is. Not because of anything. They didn't say anything other than to say, look, we know you totally didn't do this on purpose. We know that you thought that these images were fake. We get it. That's not an issue with us. And I appreciated that. But the reality is, if these images are real, and whether they are real or not depends on if you believe Tom Holland, but if those images are real, the reality is this. Well, I did not think I was posting real leaked pictures online. The reality is, if they're real, I am the one who put them out there. That's the reality. That is the inconvenient truth for me. Is that if it does indeed, as a lot of people believe, and it looks like, if it does indeed turn out that those pictures are real, the reality is, bottom line, intention or not, I'm the one who put them out. That's me. That's on me. Well, it's on me to a degree. I had those things pulled down so fast. I had taken down my tweets before even 500 people had seen my tweet. Like before even 500 people had seen my tweet, I had taken it down. The images that most people are seeing in the world are images that other people screen captured from my post, and then they spread it around online for the world to see. I just want to be clear about that. Less than 500 people saw my tweet when it was up and live. Less than 500 people. The reason the world has seen those images is because there are others who took it, purposely screenshot it, and then they shared it to the world and pushed it out. But even if that's true, they never would have been online in the first place if I didn't put them out there. It's the reality. I hate it. That sucks, but that's the reality. And that being the reality, how can I not have my relationship with the studio affected? Look, I said on my show the other day, I can trash a movie, and that doesn't impact my relationship with the studio, because if I think a movie sucks and I bash on it, that's part of the game. The studios understand that. Sony understands that. Disney understands that. Warner Brothers understands that. That if you see a movie, my job as a pundit is to give my opinion of a movie. If I see a movie and I think it sucks ass, I'm going to say it sucks ass. And that doesn't affect my relationship with the studios at all. They get it. Hell, it didn't even affect my relationship with Disney when I continuously bash on Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney. Some people think I go too far in how critical I am of him, but it is part of the game. If I think this executive is doing a bad job, I mean, I cheer for him. I hope he does a good job in the future. I hope he learns a lot of lessons. But right now, I think he's done a very bad job running this company. And so I'm very vocal about that. But that does not impact my relationship with the studio, because they know me giving my opinion on how that company's being run right now is a part of the game. So that doesn't impact my relationship with the studio at all. What does impact your relationship with the studio is releasing leaks. Now, other than my relationship with my audience, which is my number one thing when it comes to doing my show and everything, a second to that is my relationship with the studios. That's very important to me. It's very important. And intentionally releasing leaks like that is going to negatively impact your relationship with the studios. It is. A relationship that over the years I have been very careful to protect. Even when I'm being bashing on them, even when I'm being critical of them, all that kind of stuff, I've always been fair. I've always been fair. And they know I've always been fair, and that's why my relationship with the studios has always been very good. And I have spent years and years protecting and cultivating those relationships, because that's important. Not as important as my relationship with my audience, but I have spent many years of my career cultivating and protecting those relationships. And by releasing pictures, it doesn't matter that I didn't think they were real. If it turns out they are real, Disney can say they understand I didn't do it, but the reality is that's going to damage the relationship. That has to damage the relationship. I'm not saying it kills the relationship, but it has to damage the relationship. It absolutely does. Like, if my best friend accidentally runs my mother over, I may know he didn't intend to do it, but it's going to strain the relationship, right? It's going to strain that relationship. Even if I intellectually know he didn't do it on purpose, he ran over my mom, and that's going to strain the relationship. The fact of the matter is, if those images that are out there are real, I'm not the one who spread them around. That's on other people. But I am the one who made them available for those people to take, grab, and then spread around online. Me. And if anything, I would never do anything intentionally that I would even begin to think would damage my relationship with the studios. But that is something that would. Now, how much does it damage it? I don't know. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. I mean, I'm not expecting to be invited to the Spider-Man No Way Home premiere. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I would be shocked if I still got an invitation to a Spider-Man No Way Home premiere at this point. I mean, completely shocked. I wouldn't invite me. Then again, I was also completely shocked when I got invited to the Shang-Chi premiere, because I had been bashing on Bob Chapek for so hard, and all of a sudden I got this invitation to them anyway. But yeah, I don't expect I'm going to get an invitation to a Spider-Man No Way Home premiere, and I get that. Look, and I hold no ill will. If this happens, it sucks that it happened. If it turns out the pictures are true, it sucks that it happened. It totally sucks that it happened. I mean, it's not anything that other websites haven't been reporting for over a year. Like, many websites have been reporting, Tom Holland, we can confirm they're in it and all that kind of stuff. That's fine, but a picture came out. And of course it happened to me. A picture came out, and if it's real, it's on me. And yes, it will damage the relationship. Again, I don't know how much. I'm sure it's not, something we can't recover from. I'm sure it's not something whatever, but, worst case scenario is I don't get invited to a couple of premieres, and that's fine. Premieres are fun. I really like going to premieres. They're fun, but they're not important. They're not important in the least. They're fun, but they're not important. So We'll see, man. We'll see. Anyway, I'm not, just so you guys know, in case you're wondering anymore, I'm not really going to address this anymore. I mean, there's no point at this point. I've already explained it. I thought the images were fake. I put them out. Then I get contacted by Stews. I pulled them down within 5 minutes of them being up. Only a few hundred people had seen them, and then they caught wildfire because other people took them and spread them around. I would never do something to damage my relationship with studios, which is relationships I have cultivated and protected for years and years and years. But it happened, and there's going to be an impact to it. Of course there is. And it sucks, but it ain't the worst thing in the world. It ain't the worst thing in the world. I was even talking to, one of my friends who works with Disney, and we were talking about it. And I said, this isn't the worst thing in the world. I said, it sucks though. And if I have hurt your project in any way, I feel terrible about that. It was not my intention. Hey, we totally know it wasn't your intention, man. We get it. But still, I felt really bad about it, but we'll see. Maybe Tom Holland's telling the truth and they aren't in the movie at all. Or maybe those pictures are real and they're actually pictures taken from the trailer that's about to drop, and it doesn't matter that the pictures came. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm just being wishful, but whatever. Okay, let's move on here. Next up, we've got, hold a second. Why is my screen freezing up here? Give me 1 second as I try to fix this. Hold a second. This is what happens if I leave this monitor for too long. By the way, this is a good opportunity for me to tell you, I'm not going to give you all the details, but starting next week, there is a format change coming to the John Campea Show. There is a format change coming to the John Campea Show, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it. We have new full-time staff. We have a little bit of a change coming. I'm very excited for it. I will tell you more, but Monday, there is going to be a brand new kind of, I mean, it's not radically different. It's still going to be our main topics, our viewer questions, me talking, but there's going to be a little bit of a change in format coming, and there we're back now. There's a little bit of a change of format coming on Monday's show, and I'm actually really, really excited about it. And we'll talk more about it in the next couple of days before we head into the weekend. All right. Next up, we got Connor, who writes, if it's not hinted at in No Way Home that Spider-Man will go back to Sony, do you think that it will happen during Doctor Strange 2? Or do you think that it may mean a new deal has been agreed on? I would find it odd for such a big Spider-Man event to happen in Doctor Strange. No, you raise a really good point here, because I 100% believe, not know, not KNOW, but believe, I believe that No Way Home is going to spark the climax of Spider-Man leaving the MCU and going back over to Sony. Now, that actual event may not happen till Doctor Strange 2. That's possible. But if it does happen in Doctor Strange 2, it's going to be predicated on something major that happens in Spider-Man No Way Home. I think Spider-Man No Way Home will be the flashpoint, no pun intended, will be the flashpoint of what leads Spider-Man out of the MCU back over into Sony. And that may happen in that movie, or it may not happen until Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. But I think it'll happen in one of the two. But, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on that. All right, next up, we got, that was Connor. Now we got Dario JL, who writes, well, I suppose I forgot to put my name before. I was the anonymous one who with the thank you message. So thank you again and keep up the great work. P.S. Can't wait for the Flashpoint movie. I am too. I'm not gonna lie. The way Warner Brothers has botched and mishandled the whole Ezra Miller grabbing a girl by the throat situation, the way they just try to sweep it all under the rug and ignore it, that has soured me a little bit. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I was still excited for the movie. They've got a great director on board. Obviously, the Michael Keaton angle to that is really exciting. And I just happen to I know a lot of people don't, but I like the Ezra Miller Flash. I do. And so while that whole event has kind of soured me a little bit, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was still pretty excited. So I am. So we'll see how it goes. All right, next up, Garden Variety Vagabond writes, John, I had an odd experience this weekend when I was Eternals, probably meant when you were watching Eternals. My local AMC had added an additional showing And this is what I was catching. An employee came in and apologized that as it was an unplanned showing, there would be no previews. As the movie was listed at 8 o'clock, he said it would start at 8:15. So not only did we have no commercials, but it went from a black screen to the black screen scroll of the start of the film, made it very dramatic and unexpected. I'm not really sure what you're saying about what led up to it there, Garden Variety Vagabond, but that would be cool. Look, for those of you who don't know and haven't seen Eternals, and I'm not spoiling anything here, for those of you who don't know and haven't seen Eternals, it opens with a black screen and then white text scrolling. It's very impactful, actually. But I can just imagine being in that theater when there's no trailers and no pre-show commercials. And if you're in a Dolby Prime theater, the Dolby Prime theater has the blackest blacks, like the deepest blacks. So you don't even know that a projector is even turned on. So if you're just sitting there in a theater and it's black screen and all of a sudden out of nowhere, that title starts to crawl, that would have been a pretty cool experience, man. That would have been pretty cool. All right, next up. Ryan Lohner writes, a sorely underappreciated Dean Stockwell film is Compulsion from 1959, based on Leopold and Loeb murders. He's one of the killers. Orson Welles is their lawyer, and E.G. Marshall from 12 Angry Men and Gavin MacLeod are the prosecutors. It's also based on a book, and it was a stage play as well. And I saw this one, I think I was still back in the movie blog days. I was on, if you guys who followed me for long enough, you know that back in the movie blog days, I went on this like really old, like 1950s, 1960s movie watching sprint, right? And this was one of them. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even realize that was Dean Stockwell in the film. I didn't even realize it. I didn't know that. I just assuming you're right, but I didn't even realize it. And it's basically like these guys, one is kind of really being influenced by the other, and they decide they're going to do all these crazy things, including murder, and they kill, and there's a court case. Anyway, it's been a beat since I've seen it, but I had no idea that was Dean Stockwell. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, next up. Let's see. Jared Goff Midian writes, hey, John, just like Spider-Man No Way Home with all the cameos and multiverse under or over 40%, Flashpoint will be at least 2.5 hours. Don't have a good day. Have a great day. I like the little Free Guy reference there. Listen, it seems like the execs at Warner Brothers don't want a movie that's over 2.5 hours long, unless it's going straight to HBO Max. So I'm going to guess it's possible it could be over 2.5 hours. It's possible. But at 40%, understanding Warner Brothers' hesitancy to have their comic book movies that long, I'm going to say under 40%. I would probably put it around the 25% mark. So that's what I'm going to guess for now. Great question, man. All right, next up, Jared Goff Midian also writes, I was looking up a project on IMDb Pro. The project said optioned. I didn't know what that meant. It is a very interesting thing, options. We'll talk about it in a second. I didn't know what that meant, so I tried to Google it. The definition on Google really wasn't clear to me. Could you please explain what option means when it comes to a project? Okay. So to option a thing, I will tell you this. I had once signed an option on a screenplay that I had written. It was really more of an outline, but at any rate, an option is basically this, and I'm oversimplifying it completely. And this doesn't give you all the details, but it gives you a basic idea. Let's say that you, Jard, let's say you wrote a story about, I don't know, a magical comet that hit Earth, and it turned my Zoom H6 recorder into a live sentient being. I am the Zoom. Call me Z-Hake. Z-Hake for ZH6. Z-Hake. I am Z-Hake, the audio recorder that is going to take over the world. By the way, I highly recommend this. This is one of my favorite tech devices that I own. You should check it out. Anyway, and you write this story about Z-Hake, the audio recorder that came to life when a magical comet hit the thing, and now it wants to take over the world, like Pinky and the Brain. All right. So you introduced me to this story, and I think I might want to make that into a movie. I might want to make that into a movie. But I'm not sure I want to make it into a movie. So what I might say to you, Jared, I might say, okay, I'll tell you what, sell me an option on it. What that basically means is I give you X amount of dollars. Let's just, for argument's sake, say I give you $100, right? I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. I give you $100 and you give me a 3-month option, or let's say 6-month option. What that means is that for 6 months, only I will have the option to buy the rights to this story from you and turn it into a movie of my own. It's not committing to buying it from you, but it says, look, I'll give you X amount of dollars. And then for however long our agreement is, let's say it's 6 months. For 6 months, I am the only one who has the option to buy that from you and turn it into a project. It's only an option. So if the 6 months comes and goes, let's say 6 months then come and goes. And I say to you, okay, look, I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm still interested. Let me re-up the option. Let me buy the option from you again. So I give you another $100. And you still own it and you've got $200, right? So that's basically what an option is that you are selling the option for somebody to buy it off you later. Again, I'm oversimplifying it. I'm completely oversimplifying it. You know what? Supercharged in the live chat just put it really well. He says it's like you're reserving a spot. Only you have to pay for that thing in spot and you're not committed to buying it afterwards. You have the option. So, and I've got a buddy of mine who's actually had this screenplay that he wrote 10 years ago, and he's sold the option to it like 7 or 8 times, and it's never been picked up. But he has made money over the past 10 years. He's consistently made money over the last 10 years on this screenplay that's just sitting on his desk collecting dust because he sold the option to it like 7 or 8 times. It's crazy. Anyway, and I'm sure it's happened more than that before. All right. Next up, we go to, Marcus Y reminded me of the Killer Umbrellas. I told the story about the script of the Killer Umbrellas once. I will tell it again another time, but that is one of the craziest stories of me in the entertainment industry, like one of the weirdest ones. Anyway. All right, next up. Where are we at? We're at Noah Molaski, who writes, and tips in like $50. Thank you, Noah, for supporting our channel on that level, man. Noah writes, hey, John, that is really unfortunate how the Spidey pick conundrum happened. It is. It's very obvious that it wasn't intentional. I have a strong feeling that Toby and Andrew will be in the second trailer now. These pics are everywhere now online. True, but here's the thing. And I said this before. I mean, I've said this ages ago. I believe they were going to be in a trailer anyway. Actually, somebody even speculated that those pictures that came out might have been stills taken from the trailer. I don't know if I agree with that, but I have always believed that, I've always believed that if Toby and Andrew are indeed in this movie, I believe they would definitely put them in a trailer because that's going to sell all the tickets. So we'll see. We'll see. If they are in the trailer, it won't be because the pictures got out. It'll be because they were always going to be in the trailer. At least that's what I believe. We'll see. All right, next up. Tomfoolery Skullduggery writes, those are 2 words that aren't used enough anymore. Karun is the real hero of Eternals and first MCU vampire hunter. Imagine him in a room with the 3 wombats, Drax, Mantis, and Rocket. Comedy gold, Disney Plus show soon. I'm telling you what, I want a Karun and Luis, Michael Peña's character from Ant-Man. That's the movie I want. I want those 2. Karun is such a great character, man. I love his character. All right. Jughead1 writes, 1 of 2. Hi, John. Hello, Jughead. In keeping with the spirit of your now famous AMC rant, I have compiled a famous list of my favorite movie rants. I'm interested in you and our film communities agree with my list. Here it goes. Number 5, Mel Stonebanks Gibson rant at Barney Ross and Expendables. I really like Gibson in that movie. I thought he was really good. Number 4, I was going to say, you've got to have Ned Beatty's network one there. Ned Beatty scorching rant at Howard Beale. Number 3, General Kurtz's rant at the end of Apocalypse Now. Number 2, Daniel Plainview's scorching milkshake rant. I don't know if I'd call that a rant. That was just a really good monologue. Anyway, and There Will Be Blood. And the winner is, drumroll, Calvin Candy's astonishing phonology rant in Django Unchained. What do you think of my list, John? Love and respect from the UK, bro. I think those are all incredible moments. Incredible moments. I don't know if I would classify each of them as a rant, but then again, I guess it depends on how you define rant. The Ned Beatty one is great. But these are all great, great moments in those movies, Jughead. Thanks for sharing that, dude. All right, next up. Hoop Suni writes, with Doctor Strange and No Way Home, what are the chances we get a quick nod or reference to the Doctor Strange name drop in Raimi's Spider-Man 2? Also, love the show. Thank you so much. Been watching since your 2012 Avengers review. Well, thank you so much for that. Honestly, listen, if you remember that name drop, though, that was an inconsequential scene in J. Jonah's office with only one or two people there to even hear it. It was such a quick little Easter egg of a thing. I don't think you do an Easter egg drop referencing another Easter egg drop. That's getting kind of meta. So I'm going to say, Hoop Suni, that it's a very, very low chance. I mean, how do you even reference it? I mean, I don't know how you do it because it was so inconsequential. So I'm going to guess no. But if they do it, I will remember you said that. All right, next up. An anonymous viewer writes, hey, JC, we know Jamie Foxx's new Electro in No Way Home is vastly different from his recent incarnation, who died in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I have now come to a plausible theory. This new Yellow Lightning Electro is a variant from the Sam Raimi universe. I don't agree, and here's why. Because that would have been something that happened ages ago that the TVA would have dealt with a decade ago or 8 years ago, however long that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. I can't remember how long ago that was. But I think that kind of takes that out. So a different multiverse, again, it's going to be depending on how do they correlate the idea of multiverse and variance. I mean, it's still very muddled, so we'll see. But my guess right now, Anonymous, and I could be wrong and you could be 100% right, but my guess right now is no, but we'll have to see. All right, next up. The Bear is Driving writes, regarding Rogue Squadron news, what if has, let me try this again. What if, okay, I'm just trying to read this over. What if it has to do with distribution? There we go. Chapek et al. Won't allow confirmation the film will be theater only, and Patty's experience with Warner Brothers gave her cause to back out, reevaluating contracts indeed. Nah, because that's all something that would have been already discussed and agreed upon and signed well in advance. All those things would have been completely, codified. Those things all would have been codified by the time they announced it. So, and then once it is, you can't just get out of it unless there's some kind of an agreement. So I don't think it's the distribution model. I don't think it is, because those would have been details and things that had to have been agreed upon before Patty Jenkins said, okay, I'll do this movie. That all would have had to have already been in writing. So I don't think that's it. But stranger things have happened, man. Stranger things have happened. Okay. Let's see. What's next? Next up, we've got, my thing just went flying around. Where did we, am I too far ahead now? Where are we at? That was Goth Midian. That was that. Jughead, Hoop Sandy, Anonymous, Electro. There, Bears. Okay, now we're up. Mark Gomans writes, hey, John. Hello there. Greetings from the Netherlands. Greetings to you, Mark from the Netherlands. Watching your show almost daily. Tomorrow I will be seeing Eternals. I loved it for the second time in IMAX. And I'll also be seeing The French Dispatch, Antlers, and The Last Duel. What are your thoughts on the latter three movies? A confession, I still haven't seen French Dispatch. I still haven't seen French Dispatch. I really do. My enthusiasm for it dropped a little bit because I got a buddy of mine who actually really likes Paul Thomas Anderson, and he didn't really like French Dispatch that much, but I haven't seen it yet myself. Antlers was not what I was expecting. I mean, it was a little bit, I was expecting Antlers to be, even though the trailer made it look like it would be very on the surface, like horror-ish, I kind of thought it would be more implied. I wasn't expecting the amount of gratuity that was in it, like bones crunching and the goo, and it was very, very much in your face, and I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I might because of the trailer, but overall I enjoyed Antlers. Last Duel I really liked, except just the narrative structure they chose to tell the same story 3 different times from 3 different perspectives. It is a storytelling, narrative telling device that has been used before and used well before, but I just felt like it didn't fit with this movie. You know what I mean? I didn't think that story structure fit with this movie, but still, overall, the story is great. I love the characters, I love the performances, and I really liked it. It deserved to do better at the box office than it did. All right, Fanimator writes, which MCU villains were more wasted, Deviants or Taskmaster / Dreykov? Which MCU villain is better, Killmonger or Wenwu? I'm actually going to say Wenwu. And I say that thinking Killmonger is an awesome villain. Awesome villain, but I will lean towards Wenwu, but there's no wrong answer there. I don't think either the Deviants or Taskmaster and Dreykov were wasted. I just don't think either of them were used very well, but I wouldn't say either of them were wasted because I don't think that there was a lot of people just dying on the edge of their seats to see, finally, we get to see Deviants on screen. I think most of the movie-going audience had never even heard of the Deviants. I think most of the movie-going audience had never heard of Taskmaster or Dreykov. So I don't know that I'd call either of them wasted. So that's my take on it anyway, Fanimator. Good question, man. Anthony writes, in true Italian form, John, you enacted the code of omerta in not giving up your source to the Spider-Man picks. John, you are now a made man. Next is Capo regime. Oh, dude, I was made from the day I was born. You don't know the family I was born into. All right. Anyway, sorry. Ben Rayner writes, hey, John, thought would throw my 2 cents in ranking Star Wars. Empire is the best made. A New Hope is the most iconic and important. And Return is the favorite. I know you call prequels bad, but I love Sith, that fight with Anakin. I love Sith. I guess you mean Revenge of the Sith. That fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan gets me every time. The birth of Vader and the death of Padme also gets me every time. I know the dialogue is bad, but I don't care. I love Revenge of the Sith. There's good in all the prequels. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. LOL. Anyway, thanks for the show. Bring on the filthy. Yeah, listen. I hate the prequels. Everybody knows I hate the prequels. But I love if you enjoy them. I want everybody to enjoy every movie they like. And by the way, you're not wrong. There is good in the prequels. Even to me. I think every bad movie has good stuff in it, and every good movie has some bad stuff in it. It's a real shame that there's an inflexibility among a lot of film fans. And if I love a movie, I won't let you say anything negative about it. Or if I hate a movie, you're stupid if you say anything good about it. No. Every bad movie has good things about it. Every good movie has bad things about it. And I've talked before, like even just look at The Phantom Menace as one film. Yeah, I hate that movie, but you know what I love? I love the Darth Maul Obi-Wan Qui-Gon fight. That's awesome. You know what else I love? Not everybody does. I love the pod race. That whole 20-minute sequence or however long that is in the movie. I love the pod race in that. I mean, there are certain things in it, even though I don't like the movie, that I think are really, really good. I can't think of anything in Attack of the Clones, but I'm sure if I really thought about it, I would come up with something else. And yes, I've always thought Revenge of the Sith is the least offensive of the prequels. There are good things. There are good moments in Revenge of the Sith, for sure. All right. Thanks for sharing that. And the important thing is, man, that you like it, and I celebrate that you liked it. I don't have to like it for me to enjoy the fact that you like it. That's awesome. All right. Next up. Corey O writes, hey, John. I've been really into crime drama TV lately. So is my wife, like crazy into that stuff. I just finished The Sopranos for the first time. Wow, you're getting caught up on you. And wow, I just recently picked up Boardwalk Empire. I love Boardwalk Empire. And I was instantly hooked. Steve Buscemi's always great. Thoughts on the show if you've seen it? I love Boardwalk Empire. Steve Buscemi's great. By the way, the dude who plays his brother in it, I don't know the actor's name. But I think that was the first time I ever recognized him being in something. And then all of a sudden I realized he's in like a whole ton of other stuff. And I can't remember his name. But also, what's his name? Houston? The guy who then starred in that terrible Ben-Hur remake a few years ago. He's the one who wears the mask, the half mask on his face. What is the name of that actor? It's something Houston. I cannot remember. Guys in the live chat, help me out with that. Jack Houston, Dominic Suma's the first one to say it. 100 Movies Marathon also got it. Thank you for that. 100 Movies Marathon got Jack Houston. So Jack Houston in that show is awesome. Awesome. The Irish, I mean, And Charlie Cox, hell, wait a sec, I'm not crazy, right? That was Charlie Cox, who kind of played Buscemi's kind of Calvin Patel is singing there. Charlie Cox is in there too. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I mean, that was after Charlie Cox's greatest work, which is, of course, Stardust, where Charlie Cox and Henry Cavill together on screen. Anyway, got to see Stardust. It's amazing. So yeah, man, long and short of it is, I totally love Boardwalk Empire. It's a great show. It's one of my favorite HBO shows. All right, next up, HV3 writes, not only does my father-in-law put ketchup on his eggs, but also on his mac and cheese. Oh God, that is one of the most revolting things I've ever heard. I have been married to my wife for 10 years and just recently found this out. Listen, man, you marry into your family, but you don't need to marry into their problems. All right. You marry into a family. That doesn't mean you need to marry into their problems. So if her dad want to do that sin against nature itself and put ketchup on eggs or on mac and cheese, defying the will of God, I would just say, keep your mouth shut and politely leave the room. But don't you be there. Don't you stay in that room when somebody's putting ketchup on eggs. I would rather see somebody put pineapple on their pizza. Yeah, I said it. I would rather see somebody put pineapple on their pizza than defy the very laws of the universe itself, putting ketchup on eggs or mac and cheese. You marry into your family. You don't have to marry into their problems. All right. Thanks for sharing, HV3. Cryo writes, hey, John, I wanted to recommend a movie called 9 Days. Oh, dude, that's the one with Zazie Beetz, I think Benedict Wong is in that. And why am I freezing on M'Baku's name? Why am I freezing on the name of the actor who plays M'Baku? I'm freezing on that. Anyway, you guys throw it into the live chat. The name of the actor. Why am I freezing on that guy's name? Anyway, Winston Duke. Thank you. Yeah. Who put it out there? Dominic Suma said Duke and Hunter Movie said Winston Duke. So I have not watched 9 Days yet. I just remember that trailer came out and we watched it and we're like, that looks really good. And I'm a big fan of Zazie Beetz and everything, but I'm like, that looks really good. And then I never heard of it again. It never crossed my path again. So I didn't realize it was out there, but that's one I definitely want to watch. Thanks for putting that back on my radar, Cryo. I really appreciate that, dude. All right. Josh C writes, my ranking, where are we at here? Oh, yes. My ranking of the 2021 comic book movies so far. Number 6, Black Widow. Number 5, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Number 4, Eternals. Number 3, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Number 2, Suicide Squad. Number 1, Shang-Chi. Been quite a good year for comic book movies so far. Hopefully No Way Home continues the trend. And yeah, it has been pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's been the best, but it's been pretty darn good. I legit like every single one of the movies you listed on there. And I love a couple of them. I mean, Suicide Squad and Shang-Chi. I mean, Shang-Chi is like one of my favorite I think Shang-Chi is my favorite comic book movie I've seen. I'll say it. I said it when I first came out of the theater. I'll say it again. I think Shang-Chi is the best comic book movie since Logan. I think it's the best comic book movie. I've mentioned that before. I'm going through my data processors. I'm not saying it's better than Logan. I'm saying the best comic book movie since Logan. I think Logan is better. But I listen, I know this is not the popular thing to say. I think Shang-Chi is a more entertaining, better experienced movie than Infinity War. I think it's a better movie than Endgame. I think it's a better thing than Black Panther. I think it's a better thing since, I personally think it's the best comic book movie since Logan. Not a top 3 comic book movie of all time, but I just love it that much. That's how much I really, really love that movie. Like I love it more than most people, I think. That's why I saw it 7 times in, and yes, DPH is saying, what about Spider-Verse? Because you know how much I love Spider-Verse. Yes, I even think it's better than Spider-Verse. That's how good I think Shang-Chi is. And again, I know I like it more than most people do, so I'm not in the majority there. I get that, but Man, I have a lot of fun with that movie. Oh, 2 of 2. I do not think Black Widow and Venom were good. I do, but whatever. You do think they were great. They're good, but not great. I really enjoyed Eternals and Justice League and absolutely adored Suicide Squad and Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi just edges out Suicide Squad in my opinion, but I think they're easily been the 2 best this year. And yeah, I love James Gunn's Suicide Squad, man. Love James Gunn's Suicide Squad. All right, next up. Kyle Lee, Mean Hug writes, greetings, Mr. Campea. Greetings, Kyle. Ever since Shang-Chi came out, I've been theory crafting that Abomination's radical new design is overlooked and is meant to imply that Ed Norton has been a variant of Ruffalo all along. No. So how good does Norton look in that mocap suit? I see what you're trying to do there. You're trying to figure out who's in the mocap suit I was talking about. Not talking about that at all. But no, Ed Norton, I don't think that's meant to be a variant of one or the other. I will say this, though. As somebody who was in Ed Norton's Hulk movie, I refer to Ed Norton as my co-star. Ed Norton is my co-star in that Hulk movie. You know me, I've been dying to see Abomination come back. I think he's a terrific on-screen villain and really the only true foil you can have for Hulk. And it was really interesting to see the type of role he had, super small, but the nature of his relationship. And I just thought it looked really, really interesting. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Next up. That was Kyle. Next up. Oh my gosh, we're already past 12 o'clock. I didn't even realize that. Okay. We'll just do the next couple of ones, guys, and we'll wrap it up. Tony Stank, tips in $20 to be supportive. Thank you, Tony Stank, who writes, just saying thanks for all you do. Well, thank you so much for that, Tony Stank. I appreciate that. Jay Bling writes, with Ransom turning 25 years old, I do love that movie. I rewatched it, and my God, the scene where Mel Gibson's son recognizes Gary Sinise's voice and the horror on his face, beautifully performed, beautifully acted. But my God, I still remember there was a moment in the trailer for Ransom that is still, even though you saw it in the trailer, so it's already given away, it is still a super powerful moment in the movie when he's on the phone with them and he's like, give me back my son. Like, it was like, ooh, you could feel that coming off the screen, you know? I love that. Even though we already saw it in the trailer, it still had that in there. By the way, our friend Suthia sends in a $10 super chat badge in the live chat just to be supportive. Thank you, Suthia. Appreciate that, man. All right. Last question we'll do today, guys. We've already gone a little bit over time. Comes to us from Dangerous D, who writes, hey, John, Doom Patrol will have a spin-off series called Boy Detective. I did not hear about that. And HBO Max is recasting all 3 leads for the show. They were introduced on season 3 of episode 3 titled Dead Patrol. These characters were created by Neil Gaiman. Have you seen the episode? I think if that's the episode where they had to go into the afterlife, there's the girl with the 2 boys who are both ghosts, and they needed the ghosts to take Larry into the afterlife. I assume that's the episode we're talking about. I had no idea they were doing a spinoff of that. But why do a spinoff and recast all 3 of those? I mean, I guess the 2 guys were kind of whatever. I thought the girl was really good, but I guess they're going to. So yeah, I never even heard of that, but I don't know why you recast it. I thought it was done pretty well. All right. Listen, guys, there are still more to come. We still have questions from Adam Devine, Sergeant Ward, Luke1234, and a few others. Do not worry. We're going to do a companion video a little bit later today. Actually, we've got 2 videos still to come tonight because I got to do a companion video for this. So that'll go up first. But then I have to do part 3 of our Eternals open spoiler discussion. There were I knew you guys would have a lot to say. There's so much to talk about in that movie, but we just had so many questions come in. We've already done almost 4 hours of Eternal spoiler discussion, and we still have more to go. So a little bit later today, we're going to have the companion video go up. And then even later this evening, we're going to have part 3 of Eternals open spoiler discussion will go up. Hopefully that'll be the last one. And hopefully we won't need a part 4, but maybe there will be. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right, guys, that'll do it For today's installment of the John Campea Show, thank you guys so much for being here and making this show part of your day. A big special thank you to all you guys who used the super chat to send in your comments, and to all you guys who used the tip link to send in your questions for us using the show. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Okay, guys, once again, don't forget, get together with some friends, call your local municipality, and try signing up for the Adopt a Family this Christmas. You're going to change somebody's world, and you'll have a really transformative experience for yourself as well. And go and do that. And also, guys, remember to do the four main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.